Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Word Podcast. I'm Chris Hauth, and thank you for listening this week. Most of you know me, and for most of you, I'm your coach. So this is a podcast that revolves around a lot of the concepts and questions I receive during the weeks, any type of feedback I see in the logs of training, and just daily observations I make with communicating with my athletes, or emails that I receive, or even just general observations I hear, read about, and so on in the world of ultra endurance sports. And so here we are, podcast number 15. I don't have a big topic for this week, nothing to dive into long as a major topic, but I have a variety of quick hits that I want to get into. And some of those quick hits might branch off into some longer discussions. So without much delay, we'll jump right into those. So the first quick hit I wanted to talk about is injury. And I know this could be a full podcast or two alone, just talking about injuries, but one of the key things that I've observed over the years of coaching, as well as with my own body, as well as talking to a variety of massage therapists, physical therapists, even doctors, is we tend to treat our injuries once we have an injury. And I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but what I like to remind all of you about is when you have an injury, you want to leave it alone. Sure, there are a variety of things that you can do to minimize the pain, to take the inflammation away, to deal with it on that level. Ice, anti-inflammatories for some people, and so on. But a lot of you, I read in your notes or in your emails, or even when you talk to me about how, well, my calf was pulled, and so I really started stretching it. Well, that's about the worst thing you could do, because it is already an injured muscle. And so massaging it or stretching it or, messing with it, or sitting at your desk and constantly driving your fingers into it, or golf ball, or whatever you use, lacrosse ball, or those massage sticks or whatever. That's my point. Leave an injured muscle alone. Allow it to heal. Allow it to get healthy again. Allow it to get strong again. And then do the exercises that we were just talking about. Then massage it regularly. Then stretch it once it's warmed up regularly. Then take care of that muscle, maybe even strengthen it. Maybe see if it's a little bit weaker than the counter side, or if you need to do some balance strength work for it. So my key point here is that when you have an injured muscle or an injury, first allow it to heal, then work through fixing the problem, making the area stronger, or stretching, or making it a more workable muscle area, whatever. So injuries, first leave them alone. First take care of the injury for what they are. And there are a variety of different prescriptions for that, on whether that's certain strengthening exercises, certain icing strategies, and so on. But leave it alone versus messing with it. The next quick hit I wanted to talk about, and it ties into about the next 3 quick hits, because it's about this time of year. And some of you that follow me on Twitter know that I've been commenting about this lately. But that is our winter training. And I'm surprised by how many people still work on this seasonal aspect of ultra endurance training. The sport, whether in triathlon, whether it's in trail running, or the adventures and endeavors that you have signed up for, that you have committed to, are still out there. And whether you signed up in September, December, or in May, you had the intention and the desire, and you wanted to commit with discipline to doing that event well. And somehow in the winter, when the days get shorter and the conditions might not be as favorable, or Life gets too much in the way. We like to make excuses around the holidays, for example. We have this different approach to training. And so that shows itself in a variety of different ways. And the first part that I am talking about is in the logs. A lot of my athletes, a lot of my athletes tend to start writing less and less or nothing at all in their training logs in the winter. And as if the training in the winter is any different, as if the insights, the learning, the observations, the self-reflection are any less valid, and as if the training, because that's what it is, training towards an event, training for progression, as if that's less meaningful just because the words December are in the description of the month versus the word June. I'm always confused by this, and I feel in ultra endurance training especially that turning the switch off that dramatically at this time of year is something most of us regret come the spring and summer when we want the body to perform at a higher level. And we have often heard, as well as on this podcast, of course, you need to train year-round, you want to stay focused and so on. And I don't want to go into all that right now. But it's more about winter training and why we give up on our opportunity to daily reflect on the work that we did. The best thing about the training logs, whether it's Training Peaks, workout log, just a weekly email to me, a variety of other different formats are out there, is that it allows you to sit down for 2-3 minutes a day. That's really not that much. And briefly reflect on what the training meant to you, what you observed, how you felt, how you compare yourself to last week doing that workout. Any insight that you may have that you can verbalize, that you can work through in your mind, not only makes you a better athlete for me to coach, but it makes you a better athlete because you are recognizing, you're aware, you're present in the moment, and it is a daily habit that will make you a better athlete when you train that workout again, because you're practicing on self-awareness, learning about the chain, learning what you want to observe, and your notes to me get better and better. But you need to start that daily habit every few days at a minimum, daily reflection habit of your training. You put so much time into the training and prep and coaching and gear and all that stuff, and yet I would say probably the most important piece there is your 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes a day where you sit down and briefly write a few notes about how it felt, what you observed, and all the inputs that you were able to take in that hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 3 hour, whatever workout. And again, it makes you a better coached athlete. And with the Garmins and all the things that auto-download these days, we just move right past the workout. Check, done, dot. No, that's not how it works. And in order for you to be the athlete that you can be and the potential that I believe you have and your progression, the progression that we are working on every single day, part of that is that daily reflection. And so you might not have the opportunity to go into Training Peaks every day or workout log, but maybe you take a few notes on your phone. Maybe you jot it down on a piece of paper and put it in later on. But just take those 3 to 4 to 5 minutes and note in the log what you observed and how you felt and any inputs you have. Because it's not only for me. I mean, of course, I love it because I get a lot of insight and inputs to help coach you and be more specific. And I think all of you can say, those of you that write in the log reliably, always hear back from me. Not on every workout, but enough that you know I'm reading it, all of it, and that I'm paying attention. And it allows me to coach you better, but it also allows you to become a better athlete, for you to be self-regulated, for you to do this on your own. Not necessarily that I'm saying, therefore, you can coach yourself. I'm not worried about that aspect. But the more you know, the more you're engaged, the more you're observing, the more you're taking in my inputs that I can transfer on to you, the better athlete you'll be. And the more I can transfer on, and the more you learn, and the more you apply, and your progression just alone in that small aspect will make you a better athlete. So winter training logs are no different than summer training logs, and your sense of urgency, your sense of focus, your willpower should remain the same throughout this time of year. And that brings me to the next quick hit, which is what some of you might have seen me talk about on social media, and that is why we feel we need to train less at this time of year. And I talked on Twitter, I think it was, about how I'm already reducing the amount of time many of you train and reducing the intensity in the training. But for you, your approach to the training and how you go about approaching the training and prepping your body and prepping your hydration and your fuel and your gear and turning the brain on for that time, whether it's just an easy ride, it still requires your brain to be on, should remain the same. And the regulating of your intensity, the regulating of your volume, your hours, are up to me and how we go through the macro phases of your training. And so I find that at this time of year, athletes pick and choose out of the week what they would like to do, as if they're creating their own preseason. In this case, they're creating their own off season. It's no longer a preseason because they're taking workouts off and choosing which ones to do. There's plenty of you that choose not to swim as much at this time of year, but you're just back to par again in March and April, swimming like you were in September. So you made no progression. Whereas you should be flipping that script and completely swimming more, if anything, and focusing more on your swimming in order to make you a better swimmer. It's general overall fitness that just increases the load on the body. It adds to the volume for the week and the proper fatigue. It's less breakdown and less pounding on the body. I mean, talk about a good winter overload activity. It's called swimming. So others don't ride outside. Now, I understand that due to the conditions and so on. But, of course, it's more time effective to walk in, jump on the trainer, get a workout in, get off. But there's a lot of value to riding outside and the subtleties of riding outside and coasting in hills and rollers and turns and accelerations. And, it's a different feel than riding indoors. So we need to still do that. And there's plenty of you in Arizona and in Florida and in Southern California and in Texas that your excuse to not ride outside is not nearly as good as those in Chicago, Indiana, Maine, wherever you all are. So winter training does not mean that we train less. It means that we change the focus and intensity of what's within the workout window. So again, there might be less volume and there might be less intensity and there might be more focus on base and aerobic capacity, but that is regulated by your coaching versus you choosing when to take time off or not, or which workouts to skip. And part of that becomes why athletes just can't train in the winter. And what gets in the way is my question. Why do the priorities change? The goals remain the same. I think our emotional commitment to those goals remain the same. We want them. We want the outcome. But for some reason, we allow the days and the general mood of everything around us to get under our skin and therefore limit our ability to train effectively. And I understand this is a very busy time of year and everything seems compacted. The holidays speed everything up so suddenly, and the stress level goes up, and the energy needs go up. And for some reason, late November and all of December, the value of days and what happens in them completely changes versus May or June. And there might be deadlines and commitments you have in May or June, but somehow this holiday thing makes us completely, or keeps us completely on edge and shifts our priorities. But your ability to take a breather, to exhale, to focus on yourself and go inwards for an hour or two a day, to reconnect with yourself, to self-meditate almost, because you are spending time with yourself. You're in somewhat of a unplugged solitude without devices, I hope. And you're able to, on the trainer, close your eyes. You're able to get out into the fresh air and run on some trails or run anywhere. You're able to hear your body breathing and focus inward and connect with your body from hands to toes to back to stomach to legs to arms to mind and neck and shoulders and back. Do a full body scan and check while you're exercising. And that alone not only makes you more energetic and invigorates you for dealing with these days as they are, but they also flip the script of your day and your energy and the people around you. So, if anything, the priorities should increase almost at this time of year, because training and exercising and health and fitness and a general joy in what we're doing allows us to deal with that energy, that hustle and bustle, that negativity that is around at this time of year, because everybody's rushing and running to get these gifts and last second things done. Your exhale allows hopefully others to take in that positive energy and that exhale as well in some way that it rubs off. Besides the benefits that not only are you more energetic, but you're more creative, you think quicker, you're healthier, you don't have to worry about the holiday stress and all the bad food at the parties as much because you exercised today. You did a small step towards your goal. Now, the progression might not be ideal. It might not be some linear, beautiful progression on you seeing on numbers of running pace or riding watts or swim pace that you're better than yesterday. But even just your discipline and your commitment to what you want to be today makes you a better person than yesterday because you did it for another day. And yes, this is not some sort of California bliss I live in where I don't have my own stress and people breathing down my neck and having things to get done and turmoil and negativity and bad energy as well. But again, it's finding time for myself to better then deal with all that's around me and also with me. It's not always, puppies and unicorns in my world either. And so therefore, I know that workout, that training, that closing my eyes and reconnecting with myself, and getting in line with myself and exploring within myself is part of what allows me to then deal with my day better, and work through that negativity or that fitness or those questions that are constantly abound. And the last part about that holiday stress winter training piece is in that exhale, we want to remind ourselves how lucky we are, how privileged we are to be able to do this, to be healthy to do this, to have the fitness and see the joy in this and the adventure in this and the fun in this and look into the summer ahead and how we envision it and the adventures we're going to take on and all the exciting events that many of you have planned. I mean, next week I'm going to go into for the New Year's Eve sort of podcast. I'm just going to break down everybody's plans for next year. I mean, I have the most amazing spectrum events for all of you. I mean, it's gotten from Gibraltar crossings to, Mexican Olympic cross-country team. It's across the board, but that's all so exciting and so fun and such a privilege that we get to do this, that we have this outlet, that we have the ability to jump on our bike and get in a workout or go for a quick trail run or jump in the pool and exhale and walk out feeling invigorated, which I hope happens. There's definitely days where you walk out of a swim workout or a bike workout or a run workout and you're like, I thought that would be invigorating, and it isn't. So that's when you know the stress level and the load is pretty high. Because it's not the training load at this time of year for most of you. It's most likely the stress load. But anyway, the point is that privilege, that self-reflection, that moment to just say, you know what, I've got it pretty good. I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I've got an amazing 2017 ahead of me. And I'm going to get through these holidays fit and healthier than ever before because that's what I committed to, and I'm excited how well my commitment is going. All those things, just flip that script to positive energy in these winter training months. And today's December 23rd. The days are already getting longer for one day. So the sun rises a little bit earlier in the day and sets a little bit later in the day. The days are starting to get longer again, and we're well on our way to summer. So one day in, I think 175 to go or something like that. So, all right. Another question I get a lot at this time of year is around missing training. Life gets in the way, and the holidays and all that energy that we just talked about results in sometimes with family, with work, with projects, with travel, we will miss training. And the important thing here to remember is that we will get through these phases of training, these wedge weeks, as I often like to call them, wedge days, but usually the holidays, sometimes we have a wedge week, which are days and weeks where things just get in the way. And no matter what our intentions are and our commitment is and our discipline towards the training and our goals and how focused we are, there's times where life and work and family and other things just get in the way. And like I've mentioned before and hinted at before in these podcasts, is there's times where we don't want to fight it. Fighting it not only from a family perspective might not be the best idea, but also from a work perspective or just general life overload perspective. And so we will miss workouts, maybe even a couple days in a row. We might get sick, we might get injured, we might get, just overwhelmed with a lot of things happening. And so what do we do then? We don't stress about it. Because missing a workout and then throwing the stress on top of it that we missed the workout makes it even worse. So it's just a general confidence, knowledge, deep down certainty that we will get that workout back on a future date. Not because we're making up a workout. I missed today, so therefore I'll do 2 tomorrow. No, it's about that we will build the fitness and be consistent and steady enough with our training that it will not be a big deal once you put all the links together in the chain and notice, wow, that one link did not make that big of a difference. The other thing that you want to keep in mind when those days happen and it becomes stressful to think about missing a workout or 2 or 3 or 5 is the confidence of knowing we will be fit and healthy enough in a few weeks and strong enough that we'll be able to look back and say, gosh, I was worried about those 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And now, A, I'm feeling pretty fit, but B, I am just in the midst of a huge training phase that we don't have to worry about it today. It's coming. And for lack of a better description from me as a coach to you, as an ultra endurance coach to you, we will get to a point where I got you covered either way. Like the workouts will get to a point where you will look back and say, I can't believe I was worried about that. But also that you know that I will adjust the plan and the training for you so that you remain confident in achieving your goals and remain confident in your progression towards your goals and remain confident that you are working with me in tandem as a team towards achieving your goals. And you're communicating with me, and we're going to get there together and achieve those goals. So that's the part about missing training. It's not that big of a deal. There's times that it happens. And from there, we focus on looking forward. We focus on the next workout. If we can do the next workout, great. We start the consistency and string together a good solid couple days in a row again. If we need to miss the next workout or 2 or 3, so be it. But when it does happen that we re-engage, we start the string there of good days back to back, to back, to back, to back. And hopefully, and you guys are pretty good about this, but hopefully you're communicating me that you're missing stuff, and I will quickly adjust the plan for you. Another quick hit I wanted to talk about was a conversation I had this week with a new athlete of mine, and she's quite new to the ultra endurance world. She's moving up in distances, and so her knowledge has been more higher intensity stuff, and her current training regimen has been focused on shorter distance stuff, 2 hours and less, and so therefore moving into this zone 2 aerobic world is something completely new to her. And, it gave me an opportunity to discuss and rehash and reopen that conversation of what Z2 training is all about and why we do it. And I wanted to just briefly touch on that right here in the podcast because it gives you all another layer of understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. So besides all the physiological aspects of aerobic training and why we want the fat burning machine and why we want to build more mitochondria to deliver more oxygen to the working muscles so that then later on when we're fitter, we can carry and push a bigger load through our body, through our muscles, carry more oxygen to the working muscles. We can consistently, over a longer term, burn fat as our fuel source versus glycogen, which runs out after 2-3 hours. It also is about that zone 2 capacity, that aerobic engine we're trying to build, that at the same cost on the body, the same tax on the body, you are getting faster and faster and faster with that fitness. And so in her example, whether it's starting with 12 or 13-minute miles, even having to walk at times to stay in that aerobic zone, in that zone 2, it will soon be 10 or 11-minute miles. And then soon after that, a couple of weeks after that, it'll be 9-minute to 10-minute miles, all at the same tax and cost on the body. And that is the key. We want that same tax, that same cost on the body to remain pretty low, and our ability to do it faster and more efficiently is the key. We want to be able to fuel at that level and drink effectively so it doesn't leave us with stomach distress or lack of the ability to absorb the fluids that we're drinking. That happens at those lower effort levels, at that zone 2 aerobic capacity space. And so if we get to a point where our zone 2 is plenty fast, and that we can basically do what used to be a fast effort at what is now a zone 2 effort. That is the desired outcome. That's where we're going with that in true raw numbers. So the old school methodology of you have to train fast to be fast would apply differently, where you would say, okay, I need to run 8-minute miles in my race for 13 miles, for 26 miles, for 50 miles, whatever the number is. And so therefore, I am going to go out and run 8-minute miles for as long as I can hold, and then shut it down when I fall apart or I slow down. And so not only does that come at a high cost on the body and a high injury likelihood on the body, but that progression of how long you can build that, maybe from 3 to 4 miles to maybe 6 to 7 miles, in the end, maybe 8 or 9, maximum 10 miles before the progression goes away, before the tax on the body gets too high, despite training consistently at that number. There's only so much the body can absorb at that pace because it's too taxing and it costs us too much energy. And so training with that concept in mind, I will run the pace I'm looking for and watch my heart rate come down, watch myself become more efficient there, takes longer, is less of a window of success, and it's not as long of a success. You can't hold it as long. So it's proven to not be as successful, nor that it works that well. So instead, what we do is we do it the other way around, and it's longer lasting, it's healthier, and it's more efficient. We start at a heart rate. We start at an efficiency rate. We start at a cost on the body, a tax rate, and then watch our pace come down at that. Because we're starting at a place that's already efficient and already where our capacity is, and all we're doing is getting fitter at that space. That's what Z2 training is all about. Once we have that platform, once we have that capacity, then we can branch off into the events we're looking to do, whether that's going along and maintaining that capacity for 100 miles or longer, or if we're looking to sprint or do something that's 3 or 4 hours long, or do a marathon or something like that. Then we work on managing the intensity and the fitness towards the ability to efficiently get through the event as fast as possible. And that's what many of you have heard me talk about in the past, and also on this podcast, is our goal for ultra endurance events, if you truly look at it and write it out on paper, is to get through the event as quickly as we can using the least amount of energy. And because those two concepts are so contrasting, quick but using the least amount of energy, there's a sweet spot in between the two that we want to benefit from. We want to have trained quick for longer distances, but we will want to have trained efficiency and getting through it efficiently as long as we can, just as much. So we want to combine the two, and that comes with a huge aerobic platform, and then working on the specific concepts towards your event or towards your distance or towards your intensity level that you will need for the event that you're doing. And so for a lot of people, I'm reading a lot in their training plans on what they did in the past or ideas that they have for future training. And, they're reading the magazines, they're reading the books, they're listening to podcasts, they're seeing what other people are doing, they're seeing what other athletes have applied, they're watching YouTube videos. And so there's so many things that you could apply to your training in a week. And all kinds of exercises and cross-training and strength work and, running with parachutes and running up hills and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I like hill repeats, but I'm talking about bigger hills, almost mountains. And I see all this input, and I see what athletes used to do, and yet they're still not getting faster. And especially in the ultra endurance coaching community, there are no shortcuts, right? There are no hacks. And what I can't reiterate enough as we go into the main season here that's coming sooner than we think is let's first do the basics really well. Let's first become experts in the basics of endurance events, in the basics of your event. And the basics of your event is to do the event efficiently, to train the proper volume so that you can get through your event efficiently, is to train the proper intensities so that you can deal with the undulation or the different surges or the different parameters of your event. But let's do those things first, really well, those basics really well. And then once we've reached capacity on that, once we've reached the sponge is full there, once we've reached our potential with that, then we should start looking into adding more specific cross-training, strength type of exercises, more specialized training where we've run the well dry of just doing the basics really well, and now let's insert some other things on top. I have yet to find an athlete anywhere in the world or any concept in the world that allows for a shortcut or a faster way of getting fit in the ultra endurance world. I'm glad to discuss with anybody, anywhere, that they've figured it out, but I've yet to see it. And it requires doing the basics really well first to become world class at anything. And so our focus on, before we branch out into too many specialized drills, exercises, approaches, and so on, is to do the basics to the best of our ability, to do them at a world class, at an expert level. And once we've gotten past that, I think we're in a really good place. It's like I often say with power meters regard to heart rate monitors and so on. A lot of my athletes ask me, do I need a power meter to ride my bike and train more efficiently? And I see everybody else has them. And I always say, if we run out of maximizing your benefits, maximizing your ability, maximizing your potential with heart rate training, then we're in a great spot that we can have that discussion about a power meter. Because there have been too numerous to count athletes in the world that have been the best of the best, that have reached the highest standards and goals and results and events and completed everything they've wanted to do on heart rate training alone. And again, if we maximize that and we've reached the potential of the maximum potential of what heart rate can deliver to us, I think we've been pretty successful. So again, let's do the basics to the best of our abilities. Let's work on getting that to an expert level before we move on into all kinds of specialized training. I see too many athletes, especially in the triathlon world, that add a variety of different specialized training methodologies, but yet still can't hold the proper wattage for 112 miles on the bike, and then therefore still can't run a proper marathon, and are still walking on the marathon. But yet they want to add all this specialty stuff and all kinds of special gear or do kinds of different types of training, but yet still can't do the basics at an expert level, can't execute the race plan at an expert level. So the cross-training and the other things that you want to insert in there are not the best use of your time until you're doing the basics really well. All right, I think that'll be it for our quick hits for this week. I can see myself pulling into some bigger topics here that I want to discuss at length with a separate podcast. So before I close out this week, I just want to give you guys an update on some of the camps that are coming up, because I have received a couple of inquiries and emails from you. The next one, besides the Coast Ride, which is in a few weeks, that some of you are going to be on, is the swim camp. I'm looking at St. Patrick's Day weekend in March here in Northern California. We have 3 or 4 pools lined up, so I'm not worried about pool space. We'll do some open water swimming. I think it'll be a total of 5 pool sessions, 1 open water swim, longer open water swim over 4 days. So I think it'll be a Thursday afternoon for the first swim practice and workout. We'll have hotels and dinners set up. We'll have a couple of lunches included. You'll have time to train other things in between. Of course, if you're some of my athletes, I'd love to also see you run or bike in that time. But the main focus will revolve around swimming. We'll do some video analysis. We'll do some wetsuit demos and effectiveness of swimming in the wetsuit. Getting also a better understanding of open water swimming versus pool swimming, why there's differences in times and paces and how to go about that. We'll walk through strength exercises for swimming, some stretch cords, some general strength and body weight balance work for swimming. We'll do some underwater video analysis as well. So it'll be a jam-packed 4 days, Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, and half of Sunday so that people can travel. We'll have hotels close by, not a lot of headache to deal with that. We'll have a variety of transportation opportunities, so that's quickly and close to the pool, so we'll keep that easy. We'll keep it simple with the dinners, just mainly having a good, solid 4 days of lots of swimming, lots of progression with regards to our swimming, and lots of questions and answers for becoming a better swimmer. Open water distance, open water for triathlon, and pool swimming too. We'll have another coach join us as well, so it's not just me. And we'll probably keep it pretty small, under 20 people. So that we can get maximum value and maximum hands-on good swimming training, coaching, improvements, analysis all in that week, in those 4 days. And we'll have plenty of wetsuits, plenty of gear, plenty of things to try out, plenty of new approaches to test. We'll hopefully have great weather for it, but if not, the pools are all quite warm. I'm swimming outside these days, and even now, once you jump in, it's almost too hot. So that's something I worry about very little. But yeah, that'll be St. Patrick's Day weekend in March. So I think that's like the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th weekend or something around there. So if you want to look at that on your calendars, but I will send out something more detailed and formal with regards to that. And then we'll still have our Napa training camp in April, late April. I think that's the 16th or 17th to the 23rd. And that the planning is almost done. We're trying to get up the website here pretty quickly for it. But that will be a fully inclusive camp of coaching and gear and testing and bike fits and wetsuit fits and demos and heart rate gear, and it'll be a full week of nutrition and education and race approach and race testing and getting on the Ironman 70.3 and full Ironman courses of Santa Rosa and literally running the course and riding the course. And so a lot of training, a lot of expertise, a lot of body work, a lot of strength, a lot of nutrition, a lot of mental work, all in a week in April. So that'll be a pretty big affair. All right. For all of you still listening, and I thank you that you got this far. It's not always easy for me to listen to my own podcast, so I'm happy that many of you actually make it through these and enjoy it. But I wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you all listening and taking part in this and sending me questions and feedback and input. It's been very positive and great, and I'm enjoying it. And I wanted to wish you all a very, very nice holiday week here. Hopefully you're spending it with some family and some loved ones, but also staying fit and healthy and finding a little bit of time for yourself and thinking about what you accomplished this past year in your health and fitness and endurance endeavors. As we go into this last week of 2016, I always like to remind myself, but in this format, maybe remind all of you to think back and think about the amazing things you accomplished as an ultra endurance athlete last year. Whether that's Ironmans, whether that's marathons, whether that's half marathons or 10Ks, whether that's 100-mile runs, whether that's 10-mile swims, all the amazing things that you, the athlete, accomplished. And we get caught up in this world often of looking forward to the next adventure and look at what others are doing, and sort of that fake reality of social media of what others are doing. And we often forget how great and how special our own accomplishments were in this past year. And so hopefully in this last week of the year, you get a chance to really pat yourself on the back and be proud of that. For some of you, that might mean just of staying healthy and going through a year injury-free while still remaining fit and progressing. And yes, we will have more success and more fun and more achievements and more growth in 2017. But this is a great week to sort of look back and be proud of what you accomplished. And then next week on the podcast, I'll have an opportunity to wish all of you a happy new year. And we can talk about a little bit of the new year aspect and what it means and how we can really take that cutoff in the calendar and use it as a true slingshot and motivation towards what we want to achieve in 2017. So have a great holiday, and I will talk to you all next week. Thank you so much. Bye.